you there. Melinda and Ron were living in the house of their dreams.
This is literally a mansion.
But they were forced out of their home when something mysterious moved in, a toxic mold carrying invisible poison.
It's a very dangerous organism.
The whole family got sick, including their son, Reese. Erin Moriarty investigates.
Coughing up blood, he couldn't stand up straight.
Ron lost his memory, then his job.
In English, brain damage.
Now their million-dollar mansion is worthless. Could it happen at your house? I'm Dan Rather, and this is 48 Hours. You're at home, feeling safe, but think again. What if there's a toxic threat lurking beneath the surface? Good evening. There's a frightening new world of invaders out there and in here, some more common than you may think, capable of wreaking havoc on your home and especially your health. Tonight, we'll investigate a mysterious virus that turns your own immune system into a potential killer, and a common bacteria that's spreading, which already infects tens of thousands of people each year. What can you do to protect yourself against these invisible killers? We begin with Erin Moriarty and one homegrown enemy that could be creeping up on you even as we speak.
Looks like Tara.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? It was modeled after Tara.
Melinda, this is literally a mansion.
Yes, it is.
Melinda Ballard sank everything she had into this Texas-sized home.
What did you think the first time you saw it?
I fell in love with it.
A 22-room mansion that sits on 72 acres outside of Austin in Texas horse country.
I'm not at all somebody that likes contemporary. I like very traditional.
The perfect place for the former New York PR executive, her husband Ron, and their 4-year-old son Reese to escape the big city.
It was my baby, and it was truly a dream house for me.
Not anymore. Melinda Ballard has abandoned this house. She was forced to move out when something else moved in. Something she says has made everyone in her family very sick.
Let's read about the little Minna.
Yeah. Reese was the first to fall ill.
What exactly were the symptoms?
Coughing up blood. His equilibrium was completely shot. He couldn't stand up straight. There was a school of minnows once that lived within some cracks. Diarrhea, vomiting. It just spanned the whole globe in terms of symptoms.
Soon, the mysterious illness affected Melinda.
I could not stand up for more than 2 seconds.
Then Ron, an investment banker.
Initially, I had trouble breathing.
What did you start seeing symptoms in Ron? What did you see and when?
Well, he started coughing up, as I had already done, rock size and very hard blood.
I'd be panicking if I saw things like this.
Well, yeah, but you go to a doctor and the doctor says, man, there must be a heck of a flu going on.
But it wasn't the flu.
Ugh.
Here is Stachybotrys.
The family was being poisoned.
You can see the black color that's associated with this.
It looks terrible.
It is terrible.
By a black toxic mold known as Stachybotrys that had invaded the house.
It's a very dangerous organism.
Dr. David Strauss from Texas Tech University is one of the nation's leading mold experts.
But that's Stachybotrys growing on rice.
Stachybotrys is a specific kind of mold.
Like this is Melinda Ballard's house. Some insulation material.
Some strains cause allergies, asthma, and skin rashes.
Look at it under the microscope.
But others produce toxins that are released into the air that can seriously damage the lungs and central nervous system.
The mycotoxins are what actually make people sick.
Dr. Strauss believes Melinda and her family got sick by breathing in the mycotoxins. In April of last year, Dr. Strauss ordered Melinda and her family to evacuate.
Could be worse. We could be wearing dresses.
Melinda and Ron are willing to take 48 hours on a tour of what was once their home.
This is not overdoing it.
No, absolutely not.
But only if we are willing to wear protective suits, goggles,
Okay.
and breathing masks.
We're set.
I mean, it looks like you just left in the middle of the night.
We did. We've got dishes in the dishwasher, food in the refrigerator.
Now, where was the Stachybotrys? Where was the mold?
Some of the original mold that they've identified is behind that built-in refrigerator.
The mold, according to Dr. Strauss, most commonly grows as a result of water damage.
The original leak that started this was occurred in this bathroom.
It needs water and it needs some type of organic food source like cellulose. Most building materials, wood, sheetrock, ceiling tile, drywall, have cellulose.
The water had migrated throughout the entire first floor. And look, underneath the carpet.
Oh, yeah, this is definitely black spots here. So this is all the Stachybotrys.
Yeah.
So toxic is the mold in Melinda's house.
That's stacking. And this is an air conditioning closet. This is just circulating this stuff.
That Dr. Strauss says it has contaminated all of the family's possessions.
All of the antique art, nothing.
Everything they own.
You can't take any of this with you?
No.
What about this? You can't just clean this off and take this home?
No. The chances of cross-contamination after they're allegedly clean is too great.
Is the contamination also upstairs?
Yes. This bed was somewhere around $30,000. It would cost more than that to try to decontaminate it.
So what will happen to all this?
It'll be hauled off to a dump.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
But it's not just her home and belongings Melinda may be giving up. She fears she's losing her husband. After living in this mold-contaminated house, Melinda says Ronnie is no longer the man she married.
He just started completely forgetting everything.
Melinda kept telling me, you're getting Alzheimer's.
He would forget what car he drove when he'd drive to and he's driven the same car for 5 years.
As an investment banker, Ron's memory loss at work put big deals at risk.
I was not handling the financings that I was responsible for.
The changes in Ron were obvious to coworker Harold Babbitt.
On several occasions, I'd walk into his office and he would just be staring. He'd give you that look like someone who had a stroke. There were deals that should have been completed that weren't completed.
Ron had no choice but to resign.
Isn't it difficult to believe that a mold could change a person that drastically?
It took an extremely brilliant young man and turned him into a nincompoop.
Come on, it's time to get up, sweetie.
Since leaving the house, Melinda's symptoms have disappeared, but little Reese has developed asthma.
We're gonna have a long plane ride. Yeah, Reese man and I are off to New York. We got a long day ahead, and it's starting a little early for both of us, isn't it, buddy?
Ron is taking Reese to New York to meet with a doctor who specializes in treating mold exposure illnesses.
You gonna see a doctor?
Yeah.
He's gonna make you feel better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I want to find out is how I can get back to my life.
Coming up next, just how common is toxic mold?
No wonder the kids are getting as sick as they're getting. It's there. They found it.
Here, take a look.
And could exposure to Stachybotrys actually kill?
This is our dining room.
If you think Melinda Ballard's mold-contaminated home in Texas is an isolated case, just talk to Julie and Richard Lycon, 1,200 miles away in Southern California.
We had our roof leaking. We had windows leaking, cracks in the stucco where water would seep through.
When they found the Stachybotrys mold in the walls and floors of their condo,
all the wood was pretty much black from the mold.
Their homeowners association agreed to move them and all their children to a hotel while their home was cleaned of mold. But 7 months later,
we move back in, the kids get sick, we have these problems, and we're back to square one.
only testing the house will say for sure whether mold is once again making all 6 of the children sick.
So who do you think is most bothered by this? Who do you think has gotten sick? Think Jordan?
I think it's Jordan.
2-year-old Jordan had seizures from mold exposure.
Since we've been home, His seizures were back.
You'll see up here where the sample has growth on it.
12-year-old Jesslyn.
Nosebleeds.
5-year-old Kelsey.
She's been having a lot of headaches.
14-year-old John and 7-year-old Spencer
Are on Claritin every day because they can't breathe.
and 18-year-old Christina.
Lack of concentration and the headaches, the dizziness.
And sure enough, there is still Stachybotrys in the air. Massive amounts.
Here, take a look.
This time, found growing and spreading spores inside the air conditioning unit.
It's pretty clear that there's almost 100% visible mold coverage.
No wonder the kids are getting as sick as they're getting. It's there. They found it.
48 hours later.
The only thing we literally have to take is just the clothes on our back.
The family is moving out again.
I don't even know if we're going to be able to come back.
I'm sorry, baby.
Meanwhile, Ron Allison and his son Reese, forced out of their Texas home, are about to find out if mold exposure has caused them permanent damage.
I'm Dr. Johanning.
Ron Allison, pleased to meet you. And this is Reese.
Hi.
Today, they're meeting with Dr. Eckhart Johanning,
Good. Come in.
a specialist in Albany, New York, who has studied more than 600 patients exposed to toxic
Go
mold.
over your medical history, see what happened.
Ron believes his exposure to Stachybotrys caused memory loss, and as a result, cost him his job.
I gradually got to the point that I couldn't remember anything at any given time.
Okay, breathe in. Okay.
4-year-old Reese has developed asthma and is having difficulties in school.
Deep breath now, in and out. And these tests were done after you moved out. But both of you, as you see here, have very low antibody counts. It would suggest to me that you had a toxic exposure.
For Reese, the news is not good.
Since his lungs are still developing,
Reese has scarred lungs.
I cannot predict what the long-term outcome are.
But for Ron,
Stachybotrys produces very potent chemicals that can cause a brain fogginess, tremors, problems with the memory, a lot of things you were telling me.
the news is much worse.
The technical term or diagnosis is toxic encephalopathy, meaning, plain English, brain damage.
And it now looks like the damage is permanent.
The fact that I have brain damage from mold is it's hard to swallow. It's not something that you, of all the things that you might cross your mind, is one of the things that could basically take your life away from you. Mold is not one of them.
Later that day, back at Ron's hotel,
He told us that Reese may have neurological problems similar to mine.
When I look at him, though, right now, I mean, he looks as healthy as a child could look.
He does. Yeah, it's hard. When you put it like that, it is hard.
but as damaged as Reese may be, it might have been worse.
Let me look at your hands.
Dr. Dor Dearborn of Cleveland's Rainbow Children's Hospital is studying a possible deadly link between Stachybotrys mold and bleeding lungs in infants.
How many babies do you believe died because of their exposure to mold?
Of the 29 cases that we've studied in depth, we've had 5 deaths. And all 5 of those have come from homes that were contaminated with Stachybotrys.
While the Centers for Disease Control dispute that link between the deaths and toxic mold, there is little question that Stachybotrys, found in all 50 states, is a health hazard that can be avoided simply by removing water-damaged building materials as quickly as possible.
That advice comes too late for Melinda Ballard. Experts she's hired have told her there's only one way to get rid of the mold.
Bulldoze the house and haul everything off. Can you find the dolphin?
Melinda is now involved in a legal battle with her insurance company, arguing she should have been warned about mold dangers.
Dr. Johanning said one thing that has really made the difference to me. Never can Reese be exposed to this stuff again, ever.
So we get another bag and get those hangers.
In California, the Lycons are in litigation with their homeowners association for not completely removing the mold the first time around. Since we first broadcast this story last March, the children's symptoms have gone away. But the fate of the Lycons' home remains uncertain, as does the long-term health of their children.
It's just hard. You don't ever know where it can lead and what it can do.